Because of the way our big, beautiful brains work, it turns out that feeling safe is actually just as important as physically being safe. So in this video, I'm talking all about the Safe Place exercise, a visualization exercise designed to help you feel safe. It's really simple and it's free. So it's based on using your imagination to create a safe place that you can escape to, a safe place in your mind that you can escape to whenever you need a moment to pause and reset. If you'd like to try it, I'll guide you through step by step. But before we get there, I want to explain exactly what it is and outline a few things to consider before you try it. And I'm going to highlight a few potential reasons that the Safe Place exercise might not be for you. That's because visualization exercises like this and other mindfulness and meditation strategies don't actually work for everybody, despite what you might have heard. Or at the very least, they might not be for everyone at this exact point in their life. Of course, even if it doesn't actually work for you, having learnt about it and perhaps tried it out means that you can now share it with people that you know and give them a potential new way to help relieve or reduce stress a little bit, reduce overwhelm, and get that little bit safer to feeling, a little bit closer to feeling safe again. If we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Dr. Caitlin Lance-Hope, and I work for SFAC, a small UK-based child rights charity. I'm a chartered psychologist and a protective behaviours practitioner. I work with people involved in childcare and protection all across the world. So my role is to help them create safe, healing environments where children and those who care for them have the best chance to thrive. A big part of my job is equipping people to identify when they're feeling unsafe and, having done that, find ways to help themselves feel safe again. So because of that, I'm constantly trying to give people new care kit options to experiment. What's a care kit? It's a handy little collection of tools that you can use to help you feel safer or calmer when life just feels a bit too big. So why do I call it a care kit? Because it's designed to help increase your capacity to care for yourself, to care for others, and to care for the world. So essentially that's my job in a nutshell, to increase your capacity to care. And as I mentioned before, not every coping skill or technique will be right for every person. So it's essential to get curious and to experiment with as many options as possible so that you can find what works best for you. The Safe Place exercise is a great option to test for your care kit. And the best bit about it is that once your safe place in your mind becomes really familiar to you, and you've practiced it a few times so you can create it quickly and easily, you can use this strategy anywhere and anytime. And nobody needs to know. This makes it really useful and really practical. So in a minute, I'll walk you through creating your own safe place. Once you've had a go with me guiding you through, you can either return to this video so that you can practice again and again. I'll pop a timestamp where the exercise starts, somewhere here on the screen and in the description below. So you can either keep doing that, or you can guide yourself using the Safe Place blog post that's on our website. And I'll link to that in the description as well. Of course, you can also use any Safe Place resource that works for you. But first, here's 5 quick things to keep in mind before we get started. It's perhaps a bit ironic, this is number 1, perhaps a bit ironic that an exercise that's designed to help you feel safer might not feel entirely comfortable. In fact, it might feel quite uncomfortable when you first try it. So using your imagination like this or using coping strategies along these lines might be way outside your comfort zone. And if this is the case, if this is you, I gently encourage you to give it a go anyway. In protective behaviours, also known as PBs for short, the framework that I use as a foundation for all my work at SFAC, we call this risking on purpose. And risking on purpose is just an easy way to refer to something that we do, even though it feels uncomfortable or scary. Why do we do it? Because it helps us to move closer to achieving a goal, or perhaps because it helps us to live more in line with our values and what's important to us in life. So in this case, you might use it because your goal is to feel calmer or to feel safer in a certain situation. If, on the other hand, something about this exercise makes you feel unsafe, so not uncomfortable but unsafe, and your body is sending all kinds of warning signs your way, So you might think heart racing, short, sharp breaths, sweaty palms, or maybe you need to use the toilet quickly. It's not just you. Some people find, especially if they're people who've had a history of traumatic flashbacks or dissociation, that exercises like this can bring up quite intense feelings or even scary images, and even lead to further dissociation. So it's absolutely okay to decide not to do this exercise. And if you do decide to go ahead, to stop at any point. I'll put a link that explains some of the the possible negative effects of trying an exercise like this. Okay, I'll pop that in the description for you if you want to find out more. So if this sounds like you, that it's feeling unsafe, but not uncomfortable as such, unsafe, you might consider the following two options. So option A is to just leave it for now. So experiment with other options for your care kit first. And if you'd like some suggestions for other options, just let me know in the comments and I'll have a look at doing some more videos like this. Okay, so we're just going to leave it for option A. Option B, pause this video before the exercise begins, okay? And first spend some time thinking about whether there are things you could put in place that would help you to move from that feeling unsafe more towards risking on purpose. So things that you could put in place to make it feel safe enough, so maybe still uncomfortable, but not unsafe, safe enough to try. So for example, trying this exercise with someone you already feel safe with, or trying it in an environment that feels really safe to you. You might want to listen through it once or twice before giving it a go, and you could even listen to it at a higher speed, making my voice sound funny and high-pitched. That might lighten the mood enough to help you relax and make it feel a little bit easier to try. 2, the second thing to remember is that the safe play strategy works best with practice. So make sure you give it a proper chance before you decide that it's not for you. So I'd recommend trying it multiple times over a shortish period of time. That might be several days a week over a month, say. If you're still finding that has no impact on how you're feeling, so having no impact either on your emotional feelings or perhaps the physical sensations, the physical feelings in your body, then it's probably time to move on and experiment with something else. And that's okay. Number 3, eyes open or eyes closed, it's up to you. It's worth noting that the language and the steps that I'm going to use through this walkthrough are really intentional, perhaps more intentional than it might seem. And this is especially important to know if you want to share this exercise with someone else, or you're going to guide somebody else, perhaps someone you care about or someone you work with, if you're going to guide them through. At the beginning, I'll invite you to either close your eyes or to find a point on the ground, on the wall ahead of you, that's about 1 meter or 2 ahead. So that would be, what are we thinking? About 3 to 6 feet if your brain doesn't speak metric. There's a couple of reasons for providing options like this. The first is that for some people, especially again those who've had a history of trauma, closing your eyes can feel really unsafe. It's best to practice this exercise in an environment, in a space where you already feel pretty safe. So as with so many of the strategies that you might practice or try to put in your care kit, regular practice in a safe environment will make them so much easier to use when it comes to a moment where you're feeling unsafe or not feeling calm and you really need them. Another reason for giving this option is that PBs encourages offering choice wherever possible and using invitational rather than command style language. Why do we do this? It's because both offering choice and using this invitational language, which is really just another way of offering choice, are more likely to give people a sense of control in a situation that perhaps feels unfamiliar. And because of that, that sense of control can already help people to feel a little bit safer. And finally, even if you begin practicing the safe place exercise with your eyes closed, you might actually wish to progress to doing it with your eyes open. Because there's always going to be situations in life where you might want to use this strategy, but actually you can't close your eyes for safety reasons, whether it's physical safety or emotional safety. So perhaps like driving a car or sitting in a classroom or in a situation where perhaps closing your eyes might be considered rude. So practicing with your eyes open could be a good thing. All right, just 2 more quick things before we get started. One of the wonderful things about using this safe place strategy is that you are only limited by your imagination. This means you can picture a real place, somewhere you know and have been before, Or you can conjure up something based on reality. So maybe a beach or a woodland, a scene that you know you like. You can always make tweaks to make it feel safer. So for example, I might choose a place on the farm where I grew up in Australia. But in my imaginary version, none of the animals crawling or slithering nearby can hurt me. They're friends instead of foe. So you might ignore reality altogether though and use a fictional place as a starting point. So perhaps a scene from a book or a movie or a game, something that you love that you want to use as the starting point. Or if you want to, you can create your safe place entirely from your imagination. So perhaps you're floating on a cloud, or totally different, in a castle made of jelly, or under the sea. Perhaps you're living in a giant shell under the sea. It is really up to you. And just to be aware that if at any point your imagination takes you somewhere you don't want to be, remember you are in control. You can simply redirect your imagination to something else. And if you need to, you can just come back to reality, come back to the present moment and focus on where you are right now. Just pay close attention to what you can see and feel and hear around you. If this happens, if you have this experience, you might want to talk about it with someone you trust, just to talk it through. Okay, final thing, number 5. Not everyone, sorry, I had to remember what it was, can create pictures in their mind. So if that's you, feel free to get curious and try out these exercises, the bits that rely on other parts of the senses, or you might decide that this is not for you and you're going to try other things to put in your care kit. Again, it's completely up to you. Okay, with all that in mind, why don't we dive on in? So just find a comfortable position where you can be reasonably still for a few minutes. So you can sit, stand, lie down, whatever it is that works best for you. I'm just going to get comfortable in my chair here. Once you're feeling relatively comfortable in your position, you might want to wriggle around a bit just to make sure that you feel settled. Gently close your eyes or focus softly on a neutral point about 1 to 2 meters ahead of you. Choose somewhere where there's little to no movement to distract you. So a point on the floor, a point on the wall in front of you. And just start by taking a moment to settle. Put the rest of your day to one side just for a moment. It'll be waiting for you when you're done. So you might want to take a few slow, deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. You can really sigh it out if you want to. If focusing on your breath feels a bit unsafe today, you could try focusing instead on any sounds around you. Just identify what you can hear, or maybe even gently give yourself a hug. And you could rub your hands slowly up and down between your shoulder and your elbow as you do so. Anything that helps you settle in and focus on this moment. When you're ready, just imagine you are in a safe place. Start to picture it in your mind's eye. Look around this place. What do you see? What colors do you notice? You might pay attention to where the light is, to how it falls. Is it bright or soft? Where's it coming from? Is it from the sun? Perhaps a lamp? Whatever safe place your imagination conjures up is perfectly fine. If something that doesn't feel quite right appears, just pause for a moment and change it now. And remember, if at any point your imaginings start to feel unsafe, you're in control and can step out of this exercise at any time. As your picture of your safe place becomes clearer and more detailed, you might pay attention to the sounds that you can hear. What's around you? Perhaps there's music playing, or sounds of nature. Maybe it's completely silent. If you can hear something, is it close by? Is it far away? Now focus on what you can feel in your safe place. What can you touch? Are there textures? Are things round or soft or sharp or angular? How does the air around you feel? Warm or cool, dry or wet? If you were to go barefoot, what would you feel underneath your feet? You might like to wiggle your toes if you can, to really imagine what it feels like. On your next in-breath, pay attention to anything you can smell in your safe place. Perhaps there's the smell of something delicious, ready and waiting for you to eat. Are there any tastes and flavors in your safe place? Something sweet or sour, or a perfect combination of all your favorite flavors? Are you alone in your safe place? Or is someone with you? Remember, you're in complete control. The only people who can join you are those you personally invite. And because it's your safe place and your imagination, you're not even limited to people who are alive or even people who are real. Perhaps you'll invite a favorite fictional character, or pets, or other animal friends to join you. Now that you've created your safe place, take a moment to notice how you feel. Can you name those feelings? How does your body feel? As you soak in this atmosphere that you've created, imagine that your safe place wants you here. Imagine that you are entirely safe here. That you belong here. In a moment, when you're ready, it's time to leave the place you've created and turn to this present moment. But you're leaving safe in the knowledge that you can return to your safe place anytime you want to. So when you feel ready, gently wiggle your fingers and toes and slowly open your eyes or expand your focus to take in all of your surroundings. You might want to turn around and look. You might find yourself blinking a little or needing to stretch. Do whatever you need to do to connect back to this moment and to the place where you are. But don't stay away too long. Your safe place will be most effective and most likely to work its calming, joyful magic if you visit often. If you tried this exercise just now with me, I'd love to know how you're feeling now. Let me know in the comments below. And if you found it helpful, please consider sharing this with someone that you know. If you head over to the blog post on the website, you'll find a downloadable script for this too that you can use in case that's helpful for you. If you're keen to experiment with more options for your care kit, let me know that too, okay? And I'll try and work on some more videos like this. All right, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you soon.